Hayden Wesneski is here, and so are the Cubs as we recap a masterful debut and win on today's episode, plus a former Cub from the 2016 World Series team potentially returning to the organization. That's all ahead on today's show.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy as the Cubs crushed the Reds 9-3 on Tuesday night at Wrigley Field. It was a great return home for the Northsiders as they look good in the blue pinstripes. And it was Hayden Wesneski with a sensational MLB debut in relief of Wade Miley, who returned. And Sam, I'm very excited to discuss this with you. And it was a good game.
Great game, perfect game, you'd say, right?
Yeah.
When you're in September and you're not competing or contending, this is the game you draw up. The guy you traded for at the trade deadline, which we all were like, oh my gosh, they traded Scott Effross. Well, yeah, they traded him for a pitching prospect that has a chance to be really something. He comes in, they bring him out of the pen, 5 shutout, 8 Ks, features swing and miss stuff. He just looked the part, right? The fastball it was about 93 to 96 all night long, but it's that big sweeping slider, that lateral movement to righties, as Jed Hoerner said on the broadcast tonight, which brought a nice spark. And, he was the main cog, I think. And, we're going to talk about the rest, but I really enjoyed his performance. You could make the case it was probably one of the 3 best nights of the year for the Cubs.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the best nights of the year for this ball club. It was very exciting. It wasn't a great start, but it was a phenomenal finish. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be a prospect promoted this season. I know there's still 25 plus games, but I didn't have it bookmarked that we would see a Wesneski or a Killian or Mervis or whoever it is.
Right.
And so now for this train to start on September 6th, 2022 is incredibly exciting. It's what is, as a fan, you really enjoy about a season like this. And it's a great transition off our episode from Tuesday that we published, because you look at the parallels of the eras past and, not only could you peek into the future tonight, but you saw what was there for real. And for Wesneski to pitch like this only 5 weeks after being acquired is incredibly impressive. And I have the blue Kool-Aid. If I had some, I would show it on the screen. It's there somewhere.
Just a little bit left.
Yeah. You're going to have to refill that this week when Canario comes up.
I think Jed even made a small parallel to the 2014 team during the interview.
Oh, yeah,
right?
You listen to our show, player.
Yeah, I mean, just diving in detail with Wesneski, very as advertised. His fastball, I don't think his fastball plays as much as Killian's does. Like, I don't think he's a 97, 98 guy.
No.
But it sets up his slider. His slider's his best pitch. I was listening to Boog say that he emulated his windup and stuff after Roy Halladay and then switched to Charlie Morton. But the irony there is that Charlie Morton emulated his stuff after Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay's a hell of a guy to imitate yourself with. But yeah, it just looked really good. Like, when you have a young pitcher, and I say this a lot, and this is why I'm so much more in on Steele now than I was about 2 months ago. And I know you don't like this as much, but the big thing in today's age I look at is missing bats. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
And Steele has started to miss bats religiously. And Wesneski today, he just missed bats. He looked like an uncomfortable AB. I'm sure there's going to be some rocky moments for him, and maybe there's going to be some rocky moments the rest of this season. But you're just looking for flashes of potential right now. And as we've discussed ad nauseum on this show, David Ross and company are going to have a really tough decision on their hands next year with all these arms, which is pretty cool to say considering we starved for about 5 years with in-house arms.
Yeah, and we have the meal now.
Yeah, no, and I don't even think we've gotten the main course yet. Wow, what you want to talk about extending a metaphor? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! As the Cubs dominate, what are the Reds known for again? Chili or something?
Yeah, Cincinnati's known for their skyline chili.
Yeah, well, go eat some of that because the Cubs are sweeping this week, and I'm gonna have the broom out.
I love it. No, the last 60 seconds is what our show's about. Wesneski, the slider, Ryan
Keno
Dempster
stinks. I don't like this guy. I'm tired of Aquino hitting home runs against the Cubs and nobody else.
Ryan Dempster had a great line about the Wesneski slider. He said it makes a left-hand turn.
Yeah,
right? It signals left, and that pitch against right-handed hitters is dominant at times. Yeah. And the changeup against lefties is fantastic. And he did hit 96 tonight, which is great, but sat more in that 92, 93 range, as you pointed out. But yeah, a lot of good vibes on the north side. And, Wesneski has
good mound
pitched,
presence too.
Yeah, good mound presence. He works quickly. He's got a good pace about him, which you could maybe even potentially, I guess, point to the pitch clock in AAA. But, this was a player that was already ranked number 6 in the Cubs system. We know how good the system is. That was by Baseball America, number 12 by MLB Pipeline. And he's pitched well in all of his last 3 appearances at AAA, including the 5-inning relief appearance that we talked about is his last time out. And he doesn't really need to start. I thought about it throughout the game. And
you didn't like that initially.
I didn't like it, but it's a proven model with Steele and Thompson. And so if that's what they want to do the rest of the month plus, I think that's probably okay.
All right. Yeah, no, nothing more to add on Hayden. Really good stuff. There was some other good stuff today too we're going to get to. So
we're going to do that coming up next. We're excited to talk the Cubs 9-3 win. Folks, if you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are legitimately depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. Like, for example, one of life's greatest joys tonight was watching Hayden Wesneski pitch. And now you can dig into some Built Bar Puffs. And guess what? There's a new flavor. The delicious, indulgent cookie dough. Covered in chocolate, Built has done it again. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff, whether you need a snack for your workout, a late night treat, or just need to grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, the fat, and the sugar, and grab yourself a Built bar today. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON15. And Sam, we were locked on to this Cubs game tonight as Wade Miley actually pitched pretty well despite getting let down by poor defense early.
Yeah, the first 3 hitters of the game, it looked like I was watching a backyard baseball footage. He walks a guy on 4 pitches.
The computer game?
Yeah. It was just with all the, it's famous for a lot of drop balls. I don't know if you got that reference. Whatever. They don't all land, He starts out the game. He starts out the game with a 4-pitch walk to India. 2 of the pitches were in the zone. Then he gives up I wouldn't say a routine double play ball, but a routine out. At least one out should have been made. Madrigal throws the ball away. Then he gives up a blue pit to right field where Suzuki misplays the ball, goes to the wall. You look up, it's 2-0. He hadn't really done anything wrong yet. And then he settled in like the professional he is, gave the Cubs a chance. And then, as we talked about, Wesneski came through. I thought the big highlight today for me was three big games. I mean, I don't talk a lot about Hap because we know Hap. I like to talk about guys that are unsure going into next year. Suzuki pulls a ball into the bleachers. I've been asking for that for about since the day we opened the show. Right. And Madrigal continues his big stretch off the IL where Hoerner even pointed out so much so. Yep. One thing I did find interesting on that real quick is that his base hit to right, that 2-run single, they're playing him so shallow right now. He's going to have to start hitting it over people's heads or those balls are going to get caught. And then a nice big base hit for Morel was nice to see.
Yeah, a lot of good things to see there. And, Suzuki's home run was also it was incredibly circumstantial. It tied the game. And so to have as big of a hit on that type of pitch was a 1-2 punch there. And he's been excellent the last week. Although, you highlighted in Tuesday's show about a lot of the lack of the extra base hit, but maybe he could turn it up here.
Sure.
Hap's numbers are excellent, not only in August or not only the second half, but you start looking at his entire season, which will.
No, he's yeah.
We'll have plenty of time to get to that, but another homer against the Reds.
Yeah, he saves his home runs for Cincinnati. That's for sure. And if he can get to the 20 home run plateau, I think it'd be a really nice year for him.
Yeah, really nice campaign. And then the go-ahead 2-out single to give the Cubs at the time a 5-3 lead in the bottom of the sixth for Madrigal. Before that, Yan Gomes had a sac bunt with runners on first and second and no outs. I will always bring up sac bunts on this show. And Madrigal is hitting .301 since returning from the IL.
One thing I didn't like today, I don't like when Ross pinch hits Rivas versus a lefty that early in the game in a big spot.
Yeah, why was that?
I texted you this. Okay, I get that Higgins is the better matchup, but all right, I want to learn as much as we can about Rivas because we have a huge hole at first base next year. And so
huge.
And I always talk about on this show against lefties, I don't like running out all righties versus lefties. So let's see if Rivas can hold his own versus a lefty.
Right.
That's just something I just don't think you're getting any better by shielding him from that.
But at the same time, if we know about
talk to me, Cubs win. Talk to me.
If we know about, I just had a major brain freeze.
Oh, are you having a slushie?
No, but that actually sounds extremely enjoyable. But at the same time, if we know about, some of these players, or you want to see Rivas instead of Higgins, I would have liked to have seen Velasquez for Ortega.
Right.
It kind of works both ways there. Both ways.
It does, Mateo.
And then, I like the point about Madrigal. Part of me wants to say, listen, this is who he is. He's going to get so many singles a year.
Right.
But it probably isn't sustainable in terms of just the opposition's defense, right? Because you saw them pull in their outfield.
Right. They're going to start playing him like I get played when I hit.
So you got to hit some doubles, right?
Yeah, you got to hit. I mean, no one's asking him to hit 420-foot tanks. You're just going to have to hit a couple to the track to keep them honest.
Right. And then Morel with the 2-run single to put this game away as the Cubs blow out the Reds. And I don't think Locked On Reds is going to be too happy in their Wednesday episode. But nice to see from Morel, right? A clutch hit.
Yeah, he needed that. He's kind of limping to the finish line here, and Hoerner had a nice day. He
had a late hit, yeah.
He had two hits in this baseball game.
Right. I'm just saying
for triple, and he also walked and stole a base.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So he had a good line tonight.
No, yeah, it's just that, want to finish strong here. We're talking extension. Don't want to slip under 280. They should play that when Wesneski comes into the ball.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's just an overall good night on the north side, Matthew. I don't know what else there is to say.
Right. Oh, there's stuff to say.
Would love to see Fran Mill hit one onto a building like Glenn Allen Hill did. You remember that homer?
I do. I remember that. I believe the season was 1990. Was it 98?
I think it was. That's comment below. I'm going to say 2000 flat with Glenn Allen Hill.
Okay. 2000 even.
I have no idea. It's right. It's in that ballpark when he hit that home run.
It wasn't in the ballpark.
Yeah, right. Right. I used to sit on that rooftop occasionally. Okay.
No, I mean the Reds. Basically, Sam, the Reds have starting pitchers, really all their pitching staff that I've never heard of.
Well,
I follow baseball.
Yeah, Hunter Green. In the fantasy semi-season on the IL.
Right. Well, he's not available this week, though.
Right. I wish he was.
Right. Well.
Yeah. No, but that's neither here nor there, as they say, right?
Right. There was some roster moves prior to Tuesday's game.
Right.
Miley was activated. Wesneski promoted, as we know. Justin Steele officially to the IL. Kervin Castro DFA'd. And then Wilson Contreras put on the IL as well. He's been hobbled recently. Nick Padilla and Luke Farrell were DFA'd. And Sam?
Yes.
The grand return activated off the IL. Michael Hermosillo. As we blow out the speakers.
Yeah. Really not too looking forward to that. I thought he was going to be a huge contributor this year, and I
Yes, you did. He was one of your picks for the year with Scott Efros.
And I whiffed on that more than Baez on a 58-footer. Sorry.
So nothing that you want to see from Hermosillo down the stretch?
I don't think so, Matt.
You don't think so?
No, I think I'm going to throw in the towel on Hermosillo.
Are you concerned at all about Justin Steele?
No, not even a little bit.
Not even slightly.
Not even 1%. I think this is just to manage his innings.
And that's fine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's responsible of the team to do that.
Absolutely.
As the Cubs have a 6:40 game on Wednesday, 1:20 on Thursday. And we'll see if they could win the series, or are you calling a sweep, or you desiring that, or both?
I'm desiring it. I don't think at this point in the year you can call much.
Right.
You know, I'm desiring it. I feel like overall I haven't had great calls so far since we've done the show. I thought we were for sure getting swept in Toronto, but they saved it for Bush. I did call the.
Speaking of calls, you could call.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares what I got right or wrong? What does it matter anyway?
Right. So
people don't want to hear me go back about my predictions. What do they care?
Speaking of calls or text, 312-834-4634. Would love to hear from you this week. Okay. When we return, we are going to discuss
who?
One of the players who is going to be on opening day 2026. He's going to be
now
in the 2016 World Series statue.
Now we're going to talk about a player. Did said player get a base hit to left field on a rainy night in Cleveland on a certain November 2nd? Is that the same player?
Same guy.
We're going to be talking about Miguel Montero?
Not quite.
Oh,
Find out.
Okay.
Coming up next. All right, we're back here on Locked On Cubs, your first listen every day, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. Please spread the word. Play us in cars, play us in the workplace, play us in the classroom. You know, maybe you have a lesson that day. You're trying to do a close listening lesson. Maybe play our show. A lot going on right now here on the program. Okay, so big news today. First, David Ross was on the score. They asked him a question about Chris Morel, and Ben Zobrist's name is brought up. And David Ross just almost casually drops, oh, yeah, Ben Zobrist. He's actually physically been here and already talked to Chris Morel. The purpose of the question was because Morel's moved around the diamond a lot. Another player that's moved around the diamond, how about Ben Zobrist, who was with the Cubs for a few years and will be a part of the World Series statue released in 2026. He's already been around this season, but that has been in an unofficial capacity. And Jed Hoyer then said before the game Tuesday, it is trending for Zobrist to officially rejoin the organization. in 2023. Sam, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Very excited. I think Ben Zobrist is one of the smartest players I've ever had the privilege of watching put on the Cub white with the blue pinstripes, red logo too. You're talking about an MVP of the World Series, a champion. Wow. Just like Ben Zobrist is the type of guy. He's your prototypical, almost cliche, smart, do-it-all baseball player.
Yep.
Gives you a great at-bat at the plate, takes his pitches, clutch hitter, loves the moment, plays all over the diamond. You can't have enough of those guys. You want as many of those guys as you can have, around your organization trying to help out younger guys like Morel. So anytime I hear Ben Zobrist's name associated with the Cubs, I think it's an asset to the Cubs. I always even said when Ben Zobrist started to struggle his last couple of years with the Cubs, I was one of those guys that was like, just you want him at the top of your lineup. Even if he's struggling, he just puts together a good at bat. You feel great when he's up, when the game matters most. And there's no stat for that. There's no WAR for that. There's no analytic for that. You know the stat for that is? It's called winning baseball games. Ben Zobrist helps you win baseball games.
And that's what you'd like to see as a fan.
Absolutely.
I think it's obvious that Zobrist, could offer hitting help right away, hitting assistance and as that professional hitter, as you talk about.
Right.
What I'm really, to use one of your words that you overused last week, the one thing that I'm intrigued by from Zobrist is the defensive help, because here's a player that played well above league average at so many spots.
Right.
So just for him to walk over beside a player pregame or spend an entire spring training with this club as they're poised to win in 2023, that's big time stuff. I get a big kick out of that.
I agree. I also think John Lester would be pretty cool.
Whoa. Wait a second. You think John Lester might help out these pitchers next year?
All I'm saying is he spoke ever since I heard that John Lester and Justin Steele have talked. Justin Steele's looked a lot like prime John Lester.
Right. Right. So John Lester can help player X, which my dad said should be Jacob deGrom or Carlos Rodon today in a text. He could help Wesneski. He could help Killian. Should I keep going?
Player X. You know what? Let's do a little algebra. Player X equals a stud.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, man,
I would love for that to be a thumbnail.
Ah, man, can you imagine all this pitching and you add a guy like deGrom or Rodon or a certain two-way player that plays in the City of Angels?
Right. I can't imagine.
Who hit 2 more homers yesterday, by the way.
Jeez.
And I don't want this show to finish without mentioning that just
down the road, you could finish us.
Just down the road in Arlington Heights in 2028, we're gonna have a dome field. We're gonna be throwing some footballs around.
That's right. I figured you're gonna get that in. Wasn't sure. I want to
get that in. Go Cubs.
Thanks everybody for tuning in and making us your first listen every day. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and smash the like button on all your favorite Locked On Cubs content, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. And remember, you can drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. How about your second listen to be the ultimate pro football preview show, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the 2022 NFL season? The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network will all be there, including Locked On Bears, as we get ready for Justin Fields passing to Darnell Mooney. Plus betting coverage from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Just search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We are riding high and feeling good here. And let's see how the Cubs do in the remainder of their series with the Reds. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.